a new age where dreams of young hearts shall see the light of the
From
day.
seas to hills we claim our chance to pave the way. Unified hand in hand, we sing an anthem of hope, an anthem of peace. Our voice tomorrow sustains, leading the change our world needs to see, the change we shall be. Oh, eh, 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 oh, eh. It's time to change the tide of fate and set our hearts on fire. And we will never stop until we break the chains that bind us down. We meet that which we sow, let our actions flow for tomorrow. Unify hand in hand, we sing an anthem of hope, an anthem of peace. Our voice tomorrow sustains, leading the change our world needs to see, the change we shall be.
It's a climate crisis, times are changing, mountains sinking and the oceans rising. But if we participate to mitigate this tragic state of the human race, we inculcate into the young that once united we are strong, and the world we've all been longing for is just one step out the door.
Whispers of the past we hear,
Stories of old, loud and clear.
it's time to cast away our fears.
Tomorrow's not here,
It's finally here. Unified hand in hand, we sing an anthem of hope, an anthem of peace. Our voice tomorrow sustains, leading the change our world needs to see, the change we shall be. Oh, eh, oh, eh, oh, eh, let's turn the pages, change the tide, shake the soul, hearts sustain, we will seize the day. Let's turn the pages, claim our chance to pave the way. Unified hand in hand, we sing an anthem of hope, an anthem of peace. Our voice tomorrow sustains, leading the change our world needs to see, the change we shall be. Oh, eh, 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 oh, eh.
Hello, dear members. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are currently located around the world. And welcome to Unify, the United International Federation of Youth, where we let our actions flow for tomorrow. We are so excited to finally have you on board and to meet you virtually. This session will be live streamed on our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channels. Today, I'll be your moderator, and my name is Davila Talimay Malaya, and I am from Fiji. I'm also the regional youth focal point for Oceania. Kindly put your first name and country in the chat so that we can get to know each other a bit better. So in today's session, we have our colleague Titilayo Adebayo from Nigeria, and she will be our presenter. She will introduce to us what Unify is about and also shed more light on where and how we can play our part in this impactful journey. So, first, let us start by you telling us how you feel. If we go on to the next slide. All right, so here in the slide, the question is which expression matches your mood right now? Um, in this case, for me, I would pick number 9 because I'm excited, but I'm also a bit anxious. So just put in the chat which number expresses your current mood right now. So we have 6. Let me just check. So 6, he's waiting and probably excited for this onboarding session. We have number 2, looks excited as well. And number 8, extremely excited, probably having a hallelujah moment. Um, we have a lot of number 8s. And number 7 as well. Seems like he's not sure how this onboarding session will go, but hopefully through this session, you'll get to learn more about Unify and again, how you can play your part in this journey. All right. So as we move on forward, we also have a Mentimeter activity. So if you can scan the QR code, you will be taken to another page. And the question for this Mentimeter is, what word comes to mind when you hear the word youth? It can be more than one word or, oh, here we have it. Someone has stated change. Yes, youths can make about great change. They are change makers as well. Any more inputs from our fellow youths or our fellow members who are onboarding today? Don't be shy. I won't bite. And plus, it's anonymous, so please just feel free to add on. You can also, in case you can't get the QR code, you'll also see the code. If you go to mentimeter.com, you can also input the number that is on the top of the screen, as well as the QR code. So while we wait, I'll also like to say hello from Abel from Kenya. Nice to meet you. Great to have you here with us. And hello from Vayanga, or Vayanga, who is actually our national focal point for Guinea. Hi, Odongo from Uganda. Great to see you. And we have members from Burundi and members from India, Benin. Great to see you guys here. All right. If you can't get into the Mentimeter, just feel free to include your answers in the chat. So we have Kanchan who says youths are the future. Of course, we are the future. And we have creating awareness. So Odongo, when he hears the word youth, it relates to creating awareness, which is very true, not just within our local neighborhood, but in our communities. And what else? Any other comments, statements? And we have more members joining in from Senegal and Chad. All right. If you want to add your answers, please feel free to do so in the chat. As such, we will move along to the next slide. And here I'll move, or I'll onto you, Titilai. I'll pass it on to you.
everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much, Davila, for that brief and wonderful introduction. And like Davila said, welcome everyone to this onboarding session. We can see you all from all over. We have from Zambia, from Gambia, from Togo, from Chad, from Burundi. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining. My name is Titilayo Adibayo, and I'm from Nigeria. And today I will be briefly introducing, starting with the agenda of what to expect for today. Please do not leave us. Join us from the beginning to the end because you don't want to miss out on the question and answer session. For me, that is the most important aspect because you get to ask the questions and we give you live answers. With that said, can I have the slide for the agenda for today, please? All right, so introduction to the team. The agenda is as follows. We start with the introduction to the team, core objectives, what is Unify, why DPA, we talk about the communications channels, we talk about the roles and responsibility, what happened next, and then the best part is the Q&A session. Before we go on, please do not ask me for money during the Q&A. I'm just kidding. All right, I'm gonna be your presenter for today, and I hope we have fun as we go on this brief and impactful journey. Can I have the next slide, please? All right, so I'll start with the introduction to the team. And first and foremost on our list is John Guillermo from Philippines. He's the Youth Engagement Officer with Water and Climate Coalition under the umbrella of World Meteorological Organization, also known as WMO. He is our supervisor, like we like to call him. And behind him, do not tell him this, we call him the boss or the mom. All right, next to him is we have Susmita Mishra from Nepal, the regional youth focal point for Central and South Asia. And also she doubled as the global operations team alongside Anjanet Bantiles, also from the Philippines. She also is the regional youth focal point for East and South East Asia. And she also doubled alongside with Susmita as the GOT. That's the brief abbreviation for Global Operations Team. Next slide, please. Okay, now we have the next person. We call him the Mr. Professional of the team. He keeps us all professional. He makes sure we do what we have to do on time. His name is Fishang Amar Karim, and he is from Iraq. He is currently the regional youth focal point from North and Africa and West Asia. Also with him, we have Malik, who is from Tunisia. She is the regional youth focal point for Northern Africa and Western Asia. We have the ever smiling Zainab Zahid from Pakistan. She is a regional youth focal point from Central and South Asia. Also, we have Brian Kakembo. Just for you to know, if you need money, you can holler at him. He's Brian Kakembo from Uganda. He is a regional youth focal point for Sub-Saharan Africa alongside myself. I am Titilayo Adebayo from Nigeria, the regional youth focal point for Sub-Saharan Africa. And now we have our ever smiling also Zihan Zhan from China. He is a regional youth focal point for East and Southwest Asia. Guys, just this is not part of the script, but I want you to know we have a lot of young, talented individuals working here to make sure that Unify is all we've called it out to be. All right, that takes us to the next slide. We have Maria Mercedes from Argentina. She's a regional youth focal point for Latin America and the Caribbean. We have our Mexican Lord from Mexico, Ernesto Ogendo Canto. I call him Mexican Lord. He is a regional youth focal point for Latin America and the Caribbean. And we have all the way from the United States. I call her the face of Unify Kazaya. I hope I don't get in trouble for that after this session. We have Kazaya. She is the finance and partnership lead. She takes care of partnership and the finance part of Unify. And we have our moderator for the day, Davila. She is a regional youth focal point from Oceania. And we have Jay Gaspar. He is from the Philippines. He is a communication coordinator. So you see with the graphics, everything you see in social media, You have anything to say, he is the guy you go to. And we have Prakash Lama. I call him it's my favorite baby of the club. He's the admin assistant and the graphic designer, and he's from Nepal. And we also have Palo. He's the graphic designer assistant. See, this is the group that works behind the scene to everything you see. And the beauty of Unify is that you can focus on your strength. You can own your strength, be who you are as you're part of Unify, and you can learn to grow as well. One thing I've come to learn from Unify is that we learn and we unlearn, because if for you to grow like the snake, you have to shed some skin. So we learn and we unlearn, and this is the team that works behind the scene. They allow you to be who you are. Whatever your strength is, you just have to find where you want to belong. And that takes us to the next slide, please. All right. Before we go, I would like to say that Unify is supported by 10 UN organizations in line with the SDG 6, which is the clean water and sanitation, and SDG 17, which is the climate action. If you can, from what you can see on the slide, we have the World Meteorological Organization, the World Earth Organization, we have UNICEF, we have UN Environment Programming, we have UNECE, we have IFAD, the Investing in Rural People, we have UNESCO, we have UNDP, you have United Nations University, we have Global Water Partnership. These are the UN bodies that is supporting. All these are under the umbrella of Water and Climate Coalition, and they have endorsed the Unify. I wouldn't like to make it broad, but I would like to say this: like Unify it's not an organization, but it is a platform. It's like a hub. It's the place to be. If you are an artist, if you are into water and climate, if you don't even know anything about water and climate, maybe you're just doing your thing in one corner of the world, Unify is the place to be. Unify gives voice to the voiceless. It amplifies our voices. It allows us come together while we do not focus on our diversity, but we take that as an opportunity to be creative and innovative. And Unify, for water and climate, is, as we like to call it, has the part where it is the movement and then the festival. Before we go, I would like to take some few seconds so that this is not just boring, because I believe we are all youth. We like to have fun. So before I go, I would like to say that the full meaning of Unify, because I know all of you have read Unify. What is Unify? So Unify stands for United International Federation of Youth. So we have United International Federation of Youth as the movement, and that is where we have the onboarding of members. That is where we come and brainstorm. That is where we meet members, regional focal point, where we have global operations team, and we have Unify as the festival. This is where we come together and work in synergy to ensure that whatever commitment we've made is not just words, we follow it with actions, and the festival is the part that complements the movement. So the movement is the brain house where we make the plans, where we make everything, and the festival is where we come and we shout loud to the world what we intend to do, how we intend to do them, when we intend to do them. I would like to go, as I can go on and on and on, but I want you guys to have a little bit of break so that we can come back. And do not forget, I'm going to hand you over to my moderator right now. That is you, Davila. Over to you, Davila. Are you here, girl? Or where are you? Can I have Davila, please, for the next session, just to give our audience a few break and see if they were actually paying attention? Okay, it looks like Davila is MIA. All right. Okay, no problem. I think I can continue from here. All right. Okay. While we wait for Davila to return for the short break, I would also like to say that, oh, she's back. Welcome. Where have you been? Good to see you. Over to you, Davila.
Thank you, Titi. Let's move on to the next slide. All right. So for this slide, we just want to discuss the achievements that Unify has gone through. So one of the achievements Right. So one of the achievements is the joint endorsement between the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, and the Office of the Secretary General Envoy on Youth. Through this joint endorsement, the platform of Unify was actually supported and recognized by the Office of the Secretary General for Envoy on Youth. All right, moving on to the next slide. Unify is also recognized by the Major Group for Children and Youths as the official youth constituency, and Unify will also be part of the UN processes and activities for that are held by MGCY. Next slide. Okay, for this slide, I'll hand it back to Titi.
All right, thank you so much, Davila. All right, I'll take it from here. Thank you so much, Davila. Like Davila rightly said, Unify has had a lot of activities back from when they started over a year ago. And during the period, Unify was presented during the briefing on the UN 2023 Water Conference preparation. And that has actually made Unify the youth constituencies for the UN 2023 Water Conference, which will be happening in New York during March 22nd to March 24th. So this is what Unify has been up to for the past 1 year. Next slide, please. Okay, and so also after that, Unify was part of the Dushanbe water process, where we presented what Unify is all about, the initiative, and it was all welcome. And we were actually really impressed by the support that we have for the youth, and you can see from the statement that was published during the Dushanbe Water Process Final Declaration, where they say we support and encourage the participation of young people to play an important role in the UN 2023 Water Conference, and further note with interest the development of a water and climate youth development plan and agenda, which is the full meaning of our YDPA. Next slide, please. And what are the core objectives? The core objectives for the YDPA is the inclusive networking platform for SDG 6 and SDG 13, and also the global impact monitoring system. Also, one of the other core objectives is the proper representation of the youth sector, because we know that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but it's no longer the leaders of tomorrow. We are the leaders of today. And if we are to succeed, we have to be past the baton. You understand? It's like you're running a 4x4 meter race. You have to pass the baton to the next generation by training, by development, by giving them opportunities to express themselves, to learn. And that is why one of the core objectives is the proper representation of the youth sector. And the another objective is the youth participation and involvement in the coalition processes. So we're just not given a table to sit and listen. We're given a table to participate, be involved in the process, to learn and to unlearn whatever it is that we know as youth. And although the youth have all the energy which we have, we are lacking in terms of resources, in terms of experience, in terms of information. And this is what the older generation have, and this is where they come in. And before now, youth has been known for like shouting and going to the street and protesting. And even though we've recorded recorded some success, it's been slow actually, because we don't really see actions. And that takes us to the next core objective, which is youth consequences, that for this partnership. So it is all about working together. If COVID-19 taught us anything, it is that when we come together and we unite, we can overcome any obstacles as fast as possible. And so one of the objectives is the partnership with UN, with agencies, with government, with private stakeholders, with all stakeholders. This is the part where we all play our part. We think it is time to stop the complaining or shifting the blame or looking for someone to blame. It is time for us to own up actions, everyone playing their role, because it is not up to the government alone. It is not not up to the UN agencies alone. It is also not up to the youth alone. We all have to come together, and hence that better the word unify. There is this adage that says, "United we stand, divided we fall." You understand? So there is power in synergy. There is wisdom in synergy. We're not just working hard. We want to work smart by partnering with these organizations, with different stakeholders to achieve the same goal. Because we, like it or not, we actually want the same goal, which is a safe climate, a safe planet for everyone to live in. But we might have different ways of going there because we have different needs. And that is why Unify came up with YDPA, where we can come up with region-specific solutions. Because what work in the global north might not work in the global south. But if the global south recognizes there are loopholes and they come up with solutions, these solutions are tailored to their needs. And this makes whatever action we are proposing very, very beneficial and efficient. And that is the beauty of Unify. So I am excited to welcome you guys. You guys are in the right place. And please do not think this is about the global team or the focal team. No, this is all about us. We have an adage that says, we have a motto that says, we leave no one behind. So it's not like, oh, I didn't study science, or I don't know anything about the climate, or I don't know anything about this. We have one thing in common, and it's the fact that we all use water. So water is something that unifies every one of us. So we leave no one behind. If you're in the art industry, if you're in the dancing industry, if you're just maybe a farmer in one village, we are here to work together and make sure that our commitment transforms into efficient and reasonable actions. And with this, we'd like to go to the next short break where the host goes and asks us. Davila, over to you with your question for the audience.
Thank you so much, Titi. I love how you said we are all united or unified through water, and how really everyone has their part to play in that every action matters. Now we'll be moving on to our next Mentimeter to see if everyone's been paying attention to TT's previous session. So if we can move on to the next slide. All right. This Mentimeter, the question is, what does Unify stand for? So please, if you could go to the menti.com, add in the code there, 16297937, and answer accordingly. So someone has already stated, okay, you guys already did it. Okay, someone already stated United International Federation of Youth. Great. That is the answer. There's also two brandings if you listen carefully. So if you know the second one as well, please do add that. Another member has stated United International Federation of Youth, and they even gave the actual definition, is official youth constituency of the Water and Climate Coalition, hosted by the World Meteorological Organization. Wow. Anyone else wants to add on? Okay, this is the link to the Menti. You just go to menti.com and there's the code on top, 16297937. But it seems this class has really been listening. Great, great, great job. I guess we can move on to the next slide. You guys are amazing members. So I'll pass it over to Titi again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Davila. I'm so impressed that you guys are actually paying attention, and I'm so glad that you're paying attention because, like I said, everybody's voice counts in Unify, and for your voice to count, you have to listen to others. So I listen to you. You listen to me, then we come together, unify, and come up with innovative ideas to solve our whatever needs we are facing. And that takes us to the next slide. All right. So the youth in water and climate, Water and Climate Coalition, which is the same as WCC. We have the youth in the pillars. So, like I said earlier, the beauty of Unify is the fact that you can come in and find where your strength lies and you embrace it. Also, another thing is if you think you want to learn a skill, you can move from one pillar to another. So we have 6 pillars that we call the pillars of youth engagement. We have the water and climate education. This is for people who are into education and into advocacy. You work in a rural place, you want to go in, like, who have maybe degrees in education, not necessarily degrees, but are passionate about educating the oncoming generation or educating people around them about whatever it is that concern water and climate. And then we have the global mobility. This is the people who who think, okay, they are in charge of mobilizing, you understand, when we come together as a global entity, because trust me, it isn't easy to, when it comes to organizing meetings that has to involve all the youth from global affairs of the world. And when we have capacity development, these are people who maybe they are scientists, they have time, they want to train youth, they want to help them in one way or the other. We all know our strength. We also have governance. These are people who are good with policies, who are good with, bureaucracies, who are good with talking with not just political leaders, but private stakeholders. These are people who are good with partnership and finance. And then we have this pillar of active engagement. I would say this is where I find my strength. This is the place where if you are as loquacious as I am, you like to talk, then please feel free to join active engagement. Anyway, this is all about interacting with other members, this is all about communication, listening skills, management, people management skills. If you think you're good in this, then you want to be in active engagement. And then if it is about the last pillar is resource mobilization. And this is the people where there is nothing you are doing right now that doesn't involve resources, either human resources or financial resources. So these are the people who mobilizes, comes and, maybe they are good in accounting, they studied accounting. It's not limited to science people. When we hear the word water and climate, we're quick to think, oh, it's for the scientists. So Unify has these pillars to enable us to hone what we have, to hone what we know, to sharpen our skills and grow. You understand? And if you are that someone like me who is maybe great in active engagement, but you're slow in maybe policy, you want to learn policy, you can also join to learn. So that is where Unify functions. Like, you can grow. You have the floor to be who you are and be the better version of you. And that's the beauty of Unify. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right. And then while we have the Unify Global Organization bubble, the reason why we have this is for you to know how things work. You understand, they say if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So we have the organization bubble so that we know how and who to report to. For example, if I am a member and I'm having concerns, who do I turn to? You understand? You don't want to be looking for the Secretary General's email address to come and address your peculiar needs. You need to know who to go to. So we have the first bubble, which is the global movement, and that is the institutions, the organizations, the individuals, the members like you joining us. We have this large bubble where we work together. But then when you look in this large bubble, we have different segments. It doesn't mean that the large bubble is not important. If you look from the bubble, you can actually see that you carry the largest power because you have numbers on your side. Then we move to the national focal point. Who are the national focal point? These are the representative for each country. Currently, we have 2 national focal points per nation. For example, if you are from Algeria, say you are from Algeria and you are having, as a member, you are having difficulties or you want to get to know first-hand information of what is happening with Unify in your country. You don't come to me. You go to your national focal point, who is a representative of your country. Understand? And now after the national focal point, we have the global focal point. Now, the global focal point is where we have you see, like, okay, for example, if you see at my introduction, I explained that Susmita and Anjanet are the global focal point for now. These are the people that the national focal point would report to should they have any issues or whatever. But before the global focal point, we have the regional focal point and the global operations team. And that is the faces of the first set of introduction that you see. For example, I am the regional focal point alongside with Brian for sub-Saharan Africa. So when you're talking about concerns from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Togo, from where again? Okay, from Togo, from Cameroon, you want to be talking to me. But then you cannot talk to me directly. You go to your national focal point first and you make your claims, you make your your needs known. Then your focal point can talk to me. Because if we want to be honest, I cannot talk to everybody from sub-Saharan Africa. I don't even know, some countries have legal franca that is not English. I don't speak French. So if you have a problem and you communicate in French, you coming to me is wrong. But if you go to your national focal point who understands your language, he can come and explain to us in the regional focal point what is next. And then after the regional focal point, we have the global fund. So if the regional focal points cannot handle the problem at hand, we run to our global operations team. And they have an overview of what to do. And should they not have overview of what to do, then they run to, can I have the bubble again, please? Can I have the organization bubble again, please? So that the members can understand what I'm talking about. So if the global focal points do not have the necessary answer or the adequate answers, then they go to the WCC Secretariat, that is the Water and Climate Coalition Secretariat. So we have a secretariat that oversees everything everybody does so that we are sure we are working in unity. So this is not a one man's idea, like, oh, I woke up today and then I want to make everybody wear heels. You understand? I cannot do that because that is not within my jurisdiction. So this is just for us to have a proper organization level so that we know who to go to, when to go to, and we know who to address our problems to. Next slide, please. All right, so I spoke about the global focal point, and like I said earlier, Unify will operate with 2 focal points in each level: the conventional, global, regional, and national. So we have 2 focal points, basically maybe from the global north and then the global south, just to represent us in things that matters to us. Because trust me, for example, to the trip to New York, we cannot take 4 million youths to New York, even if we have the funding. We do not have the resources. It takes a lot to plan and move 4 million people. But then we have these 2 focal point, global focal point, who can represent our voices. We trust them enough. And that is the reason why you have to pay attention and follow Unify on all social media, because you are trusting these people to represent you at international level and conventions and all that. So we need to know what we want, make sure they are aware of what we want, and make sure they are representing us. And then we have the regional focal point. So the RFPs are always elected amongst the NFPs to communicate and head collaboration at the national level within regions. So the region focal point reports to the global focal point, and they are selected from existing NFPs. Who are the NFPs? So the NFPs are the national focal point, which are elected at country level by active members. So it's a good thing that you are here today. If your country does not have a national focal point, this is the part you want to be paying attention to, because only active members can vote for their national focal point. And you can nominate yourself as well. You can nominate anybody. Now, the national focal point will ensure localization of Unify's objective and be the primary validators of Unify accreditation process. By default, one of the NFPs will be part of the Unify convention and its processes. And then you ask me why. If you are listening to me and you've been following me from the onset, I said the beauty of Unify is that we are coming up with region-specific solutions. If you are from Africa like I am, I come from Nigeria, and I know that one of the needs we have in Nigeria is power supply. So if I come to the UK and I see them in the UK using electric buses, it will be wrong for me to go back home, for example, and suggest electric cars as a means to counter climate actions, to counter climate consequences. So I need to come up with region-specific solutions. Say, I am from Africa and I want to help, especially with the water and climate. What can I do? As far as the global north is far ahead of us, we, the global south, have the beauty of knowing what is wrong with us, what we need at a certain time, and coming up with innovative ideas. And that is the beauty of the NFPs. And that is why, if you are an active member, you have to know who your NFP is. Because if you are if you are organizing any activities or any meetings in your local level, like say in your local government or in a village, for example, you have to be speaking to your national focal point so that you ensure that we do not digress from the objectives of Unify. I know we are passionate, and because we have different characteristics, it is easy for us to deviate from the objectives of Unify. But that is why we have national focal point, and that is why we have a document binding us together through the YDPA, so that we know what to do, where to go to, and how to come about whatever actions or solutions we are proposing. Next slide, please. And then we've spoken about the global focal point. We've spoken about the global operations team, and now we are the Unified Convention. So for the Unified Convention, we said earlier that the two global focal points will be attending this. And then how do we elect or select the global focal point? The global focal point are elected by Unified Convention, and we will engage with the high-level stakeholders, facilitate international gatherings, and propose adoption of relevant and inclusive changes at the global level. They serve as direct point to contact to the Secretariat. So the global focal point are elected by the Unified Convention. So they are people you are familiar with. It's not like, okay, we're going to go bring somebody you've never met before. They are people as national focal point you're already familiar with. So you do elections and then you vote your two focal point. And then the global operations team. Now, when I started this session, I explained about the Global Operations team. They are composed of 14 RFPs. Why 14? There are 7 regions, and we have 2 from each region. They are structured to lead and co-lead one of each pillar based on their skills and expertise. If you remember, I said we have 6 pillars, and those pillars, based on the skills and expertise, they lead it. For example, how I told you, like I don't have skills when it comes to maybe policy, for example, but I'm great at active engagement. It will be wrong for me to be co-leading policy and governance, but I will be a great fit for active engagement. Necessarily not that I'm the one leading it, but I can be part of them, supporting whoever is leading it to ensure that we all come and achieve the same goal we have in mind. They will ensure the operational requirements and be the final validators of all accreditation processes. So the global operations team have with them the power to validate accreditation process. And then it takes us next to the Unified Secretariat. And who are the Unified Secretariat? The Secretariat will be in charge of coordination, facilitation, and liaising with UN entities, as well as the WCC Secretariat. So they are a body that oversees and makes sure that we are in line. Like I said, as youth, we have passion, but we easily get deviate and we easily get carried away by what is going on. But the Secretariat is there to help guide us. It's like a frame for a building. So see, you have a house, you have a frame that determines the structure of the building. So the Secretariat is like the frame that keeps us in check. You understand? It keeps us within the concept of Unify. Can I have the next slide, please? And then that takes us to the most important for me, because I believe this is the most important. This is the place where we come up with region-specific solution. You cannot emphasize the beauty of region-specific solution enough, because this is where I think there is a gap between the commitment and the actions that we've had so far. And what is the YDPA? It is the Youth Development Plan Agenda. It contains demographics, perceptions, gaps and challenges, dimension 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then it also contains projects, programs, and activities. Comes with solution and commitment. Now, over the years, we've seen a lot of commitment and people providing solution and people claiming they provide solutions, but we cannot monitor. For example, if a organization is saying, I have sponsored over 10, I don't want to use the word sponsor. I have trained over 10,000 youth, and they don't have, if I say monitoring and evaluation, and I come and say, oh, you said you've trained 10,000 youth, can I have their names, please? And then out of these 10,000 youth, how many have you actually followed through to see that what you trained them on, they've actually used it? It's all about monitoring and evaluation. For example, let me use the analogy of my boss. We want to cook spaghetti. So we all say, okay, Gambia, you bring spaghetti. You, Nigerian, bring the sauce. You from Oceania, bring the water. You from Mexico, bring the salt. You from United States, bring whatever you want. Bring the cup, bring the plate. And then we agree we are cooking spaghetti. And then we ended up cooking this spaghetti. And we come say, oh, we've cooked spaghetti. And it was a joint event. Yes, it was a collaboration between all of us. We need somebody to say, can I taste the spaghetti? To ensure that the spaghetti is well cooked, has enough spice and enough flavor, tastes nice, is edible. Because we can cook spaghetti and none of us can eat it. So if we all cook spaghetti and it's not edible, then we did not succeed. Even though we work together, we did not succeed. But if we have somebody to say, okay, now they've cooked the spaghetti, let's see, can this spaghetti, is it edible? Can we eat it? And they say yes. Does it taste nice? And then they say yes, in line with the core objective that we stated from the beginning. And then they say, oh, that's great. The spaghetti is nice, it's edible, we can eat it. And then not only can we eat it, what is our core objective? If our core objective was, say, we want to cook spaghetti to feed 5,000 people, the evaluation asks us, the one evaluating asks, can this spaghetti feed 5,000 people? If the answer is yes, then that is a success. And that is the beauty of the core objectives of Unify. It keeps us in check. We have something to monitor. We have something to evaluate based on the core objective in line with the YDPA. And that is the beauty of YDPA. For me, a lot of organizations, a lot of platforms stops at commitment. We have to go beyond commitment. If we want to do better, like we claim, than the last generation, we have to come to evaluation and monitoring. And that is the beauty and the uniqueness of Unify. Next slide, please. All right. So we talk about Unify in numbers because I know you all want to know, oh, I'm joining Unify today. Are we just 10 people or is just the 14 faces? No, currently Unify have over 6,500 members registered. So these are the active members. They are registered. We have passive members, by the way. I have people who say, oh, I belong to Unify. I love what Unify do. They identify with us. But we are talking about registered members. And this registered 6,000, over 6,005 members, we have 4,500 YDPA respondents. So when you hear Unify is launching YDPA, I'm telling you, it is not one man's idea. This is the voices of people, over 4,005 different people from 171 countries. That is diversity and inclusivity, if you ask me. And I'm not saying this because I'm part of Unify. I'm saying this because I know the process that is involved in this YDPA and how we are ensuring that everyone's voice matters. Next slide, please. Like I said earlier, we have 14 regional focal points from 7 regions, and they are called the RFPs. Next slide, please. And we have national representation. Right now, we've onboarded 80 national focal points, which is for 40 countries because we have 2 countries. We have 2 national focal points per countries. So if you are here and you understand that your country does not have a national focal point, you want to stick to the end of this session because this is the most important part. Next slide, please. So if you look at this bubble, we have our regional members distribution, and it shows to us who has the largest share of our members. Currently, the largest share is from Sub-Saharan Africa. And like we say, we like to leave no one behind. So if you are from any of the regions like Eastern and Southeastern Asia with low members representation, I think you want to take it on yourself to call on people and say, hey, have you heard about Unify? You can join Unify. Unify allows us to have a unified voice. And what is the beauty of a unified voice? When we are big, we are too big to fail, because then the leaders are forced to listen to us. They are forced to hear us. They are forced to ask what is going on, what is happening, what do they want, and they are forced to commit and provide solutions to whatever needs we have. But see, we all have different needs. But if we keep in our eyes and we're keeping quiet, then how do we bring up solutions? So please feel free to announce to everyone you know, invite your friends to join Unify, and I'm sure you wouldn't regret it because we leave no one behind. Next slide, please. And this takes us to our timeline. Someone once says that if you have a goal and you don't have a timeline, it's like playing football without a goalpost. So imagine, I don't know, which club do you support? Let's say you are a Chelsea fan or Arsenal fan or a Manchester United fan or a Liverpool fan. And then you are on the field playing and there is no goalpost. How do you measure who wins? It's just going to be Ronaldo and Messi running everywhere, and it's just going to be people in shorts running and sweating everywhere without any accomplishment. And that is why Unify had a timeline. Now, we started with contact mapping and data gathering. As you all know, I'll go back to cooking because we all eat. The most important and the first part you play when you want to cook any kind of food is you gather the ingredients. You get your ingredients, you get your sauce, your pot, your hob, you get your cooker, you get your oil, you gather everything. And that is what we did at the onset of Unify, contact mapping and data gathering in February. And then in April, we did data synthesis for the water and climate change development plan and agenda. This is what I call testing the waters. You want to see the data I have, how can we synthesize this? How can we do this? How can we do that? And so we came together in April and Unified did data synthesis. And disclaimer, when I say we came together, it doesn't mean everybody come together, because like I said, we all have our strength. And when it comes to data, we have people who are skilled and who are experts on this field. And then we came to lobbying to public and private stakeholders. It's like showcasing. It's like advertisement. You need to get the attention of people to know what you're selling, to know what you have. So we did that. We lobbied to the public and private sectors. We did a presentation during the Dishon Bay water process, and so far it's been the support has been massive. We went in November and we did presentation, and for the presentation in COI 17 and COP 27, where Unify was on ground to make sure that we had our presentation. And in March 2023, we are in March. We are in March 2023. I'm so excited because we are just 1 week away. We are just about 10 days, less than 10 days away from the New York Water Conference, the UN 2023 Water Conference. It's what we've been preparing for the past 1 year. And you guys may not understand, but those that have been working behind the scenes can tell you it's not been an easy journey. We are going to be doing the presentation of Unify 2022 output during the UN 2023 Water Conference in March. So if you are here and you are a member and you already have an accreditation to attend the presentation, to attend the conference in March, you want to look for Unify as much as possible. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are there to keep you informed of all the events that we have lined up and what you can do and how you can play your part. Because remember, we leave no one behind. Next slide, please. And then what are the salient features? Because like every organization, back home in Nigeria, they say where there is no law, then no one can go wrong. So what are the salient features for Unify? We have internal rules and code of conduct. Because we know that we are from diverse backgrounds and settings and beliefs and culture, we come from different places. We have internal rules to make sure and ensure that we work together as one. Because, for example, Back home in Nigeria, when you see an elderly person, you want to prostrate or you want to kneel down to say hello. Or back in Africa, in the European culture, that is not needed. So we come together to have internal rules and code of conduct so that we can work together while we are respecting each other's differences. We're not stepping on each other's toes, and we can constructive criticism. We start with safety. We have rules for safety. We have rules for termination. And as much as we hate this, we think some people some people just think they are better than others. And in this case, termination comes to place because in Unify, everyone is equal. Everyone is the same. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your sex. It doesn't matter your orientation. We are all the same. And we treat one another with respect. As much as we can make criticism, let our criticism be constructive. Also, we have internal rules and code of conduct guiding against harassment. We cannot be harassed for no reason. You have the right to raise your voice. You have the right to give your voice. You have the right to speak. But within your freedom of speech, please do know you have no right to offend any other person or call any other person out or harass directly or indirectly any members. Also, we have intellectual property, which gives us some certain rights and protects us as Unify. And then we take attendance seriously. One thing I have come to notice about us youth, we have energy. We go as long and as far as any time to say anything. But when it comes to showing up, a lot of us are weak there. And discipline is one of the forefront for Unify. And trust me, I have worked with my boss for a while, and I can tell you he's as strict as anything on attendance. So attendance is compulsory. And while attendance is important, we will not say, oh, okay, we're having meetings every day. No, because we know you have other things to do in your life. But we will give reasonable meeting notice. If we're going to be having one per year for all members, we would give not a good notice. We'll give a long time for you to be aware and prepare your calendar to attend. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now we have meetings and procedures. So when we come together, we have different, opinions, different decisions we want to take, different. So we have, and in the meetings, the procedures are like we have to agree. We can disagree. We come to, I call it agree to disagree or disagree to agree, whichever way, because we are allowed to, give our opinion and state our opinion. We have that. We must make sure that the meetings and the procedures, like every other meetings, are bound by rules and internal code of conduct, and we ensure to respect every human right as possible. We have different communication channels as well. For now, we have the Outlook, we have the WhatsApp, and can I have the slide, please, so people can see? So for our communication channels, we have the Outlook, we have the WhatsApp, and we have email. So we have the Outlook for major announcements. So we have the WhatsApp community for immediately updating. So something is going on and you want to bring unified attention to it. You can go to WhatsApp, and we have the email, the official communications to governments, universities, our partners, stakeholders. Like I said, we all are involved. And we have this community that we are trying as much as possible to build so that we can reach out and get the necessary attention or get the necessary help that we need. Like I said, Unify leaves no one behind. I cannot stress that enough. We leave no one behind. Everybody is important. So this takes me to the next question. Having become a member and an active member, you've joined. Welcome on board. We are excited so much to have you on board because trust me, we believe that you are here to complement us. I have a lot of weakness. I don't have so much strength. I know that whoever is coming in is here to complement us. So we see the members as our complement and not as our subject or our servant. No, we are the one here to serve you. And so what next? That's the next question on everybody's mind. Next slide, please. Now, the next question, what next after being a member is, like I said, if your country doesn't have a national focal point, that means they are not eligible yet. And you want to ask me what makes my country eligible? For a country to be eligible for a national focal point, they must have at least 25 members in that country. And when I say 25 members, I mean 25 active members in that country. So if your country does not have a national focal point yet, this is your opportunity. You can nominate yourself if you think they have 25 members, and you can nominate anybody. And then once the nomination is done, we will subject it to an election where members will vote who their NFP is. So the first two nominees with the highest number of votes becomes the national focal point, which will be announced on our social medias. Also, we have the GOT onboarding pillar specific. So we have the global operations team onboarding, and then we have volunteer positions. This is the part where maybe you're not an NFP, maybe your calendar is so full, but you can maybe once in a month or once in 2 months or once in a year come out and volunteer. Or should there be any meeting or conferences within your local area, you're there to volunteer. So we have the volunteer positions. Next, please. Next slide, please. And then we have the calendar of membership activities. Like I said, we know you have other things you're committed to, but we will give you ample time to know and be aware of whatever activities is going on. We have monthly membership updates every first Friday of every month. We have bi-weekly meetings between the GOT and the pillars. This is to make sure that we are in sync. This is to make sure that we are on the same page so that we don't go outside the frame, like I said, of and the core objectives of Unify. We have the bi-weekly meetings between NFPs and volunteers. This is between the national focal point and all members that are volunteering. Then we have monthly meetings between the secretariat and the RYFP, that's the regional youth focal point. And the secretariat is there to check everything we're doing, to make sure that we are aligned, to make sure that we're not bossing any member around. We're doing things in line with the core objectives, the goals, and the vision of Unify. And then we have the monthly meetings between RFP and NFP. So where the NFP comes, so the members goes to the NFP goes to the RYFP, the RYFP goes to the secretariat. So that is like the leader, that's the ladder of authority. So here we make sure that everyone has a voice, and we will try as much as possible to respond within the context of Unify. Now, I said within the context of Unify because this takes us to the next and the most important section, which is the Q and the A, the questions and answers. But whatever question you're answering, we would answer within the context of Unify. So, because I know members can be funny, don't come and say, Titi, can I have $20,000 for a project I'm running? Within the context of Unify, I can answer, I would answer. So, we go to Q&A session right now. All right. Over to you, Davila.
Hi, you guys. So now we have our Q&A session. And if you have any questions, or the questions will be placed, I believe. Here we have a question. Let me check. What would you suggest for a youth leader, a speaker, and into advocacy? So a youth leader who is a speaker and into advocacy. So what would you suggest for a youth leader to engage in? So for Unify, as Titi has said, within the context of Unify, we work with other relevant organizations, and we work with them to open opportunities for both speaking engagements and also creating projects and programs and even activities on a local, within a local level.
Yeah.
Another question that we have here.
Okay, I think we have another question from Mahmoud saying, I have a question. Can we arrange the NFP meeting in my country as I am the NFP for Iraq? When you mean NFP meeting, I want to assume that you mean the National Focal Point meeting, which is between you and your co-focal point. Because we have two focal points in a country. So You want to have a meeting with your co-focal point? Of course, feel free. That's the beauty of Unify. Go talk to your colleague, ask, brainstorm, come up with ideas, come up with initiative. That is why we want you to own Unify as much as possible. It is yours. Pick up a meeting. And if you even want to have a meeting with your members in your country as an NFP, feel free. As long as, like, okay, you have initiatives and you have ideas and you have suggestions and commitment, just all you have to do after your meeting is you have to brief your regional youth focal point so that we can say, oh, okay, this is within the core objectives of Unify, this is not. So that this is just to make sure that no one is running a personal agenda under the branding of Unify. But feel free to have as many meetings as you want with the members. Feel free to coordinate with your NFP. Like my boss would say, we want you to own Unify. It's your own. Don't see Unify like I'm an outsider or you're an outsider. See Unify like it's my own. It's like when I'm talking to people about my family. It's my family. You understand? So please own Unify and do whatever you want to do, but within, like I always say, within the Unify concept. You understand? We don't want you parading the street screaming, you're saying I am the NFP. It's not within unified context. You understand? You have to involve us in every step you take. And you go to the next level of order. So if the next level of authority is your RYFP, then you go to your regional youth focal point. I hope I answered that question. We
Thank
have
you,
another
Titi.
one. Okay, go ahead, Davila. Over to you.
This question is, what if we don't have a focal point in our country? So if you don't have a focal point, or if you don't see your country in the drop down list when trying to nominate a focal point, it means that your country does not have the minimum requirement of 25 members. So in this case, what you could do is you could, get together your friends or people within your community and let them apply and become members of Unify so that you can increase the membership numbers for your country. And then later, so you can actually nominate a candidate or a national focal point for your country.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Davila. Do we have any other questions? Let me see. Um, Someone is saying, how can I join to the activity of Unify? I would answer and say the best way to join is to follow on all social media platforms. Follow us on all social media platforms. Oh, sorry. Follow us on all social media platform, and you will get to know once firsthand whatever we have and plans. And that is the first, for me, that is the first and important thing as a member, because you want to know what it is we do and when we do them. Because if you don't know what we do, how can you join an activity? If you don't know what we are up to, how can you join an activity? For example, like I said, Unify will be present live in New York, the 2023 UN Water Conference. But how do you know where we are and what we're doing if you don't follow us on social media? So follow us on our social media for more updates at Unify. Um, at Unify WC. And if you have any questions that you want to ask and you think we didn't answer it very well, or you need further discussions and information, please feel free to reach us by email on info@unify.org. Info@unify.org. Can we please have that in the chat so that they can see and copy or scan, sorry, or snap so that they don't forget? Info@unify.org, and somebody would pick up your email and respond to you as fast as possible. So join us on our social media platform. I think that's the first best way for you to join any activities. Okay, I think that is, we cannot, because of time, because we were supposed to have this for 1 hour and we are like 5 minutes late, and I'm sorry. Thank you to everyone that has stayed from the beginning to the end. You've made this session interesting with all your comments and questions. I can see a lot of people from different places, and like I say, we leave no one behind in Unify. We let our actions flow for tomorrow. So my name is Titilayo Adebayo. It's been an honor having you all And I say a big thank you, and especially to my ever smiling, always radiant, always beautiful Davila, my favorite roommate. Thank you so much for making this session the best. And to all working behind the scenes, Prakash, Pao, Jan, we cannot see you, but we love you. And like you say, you make this job easy because we come here and we talk while you do the ones that they cannot see. So we say a big thank you and a big shout out to everyone. If you're in the New York, I hope to see you there. My name is Titilayo. It's been an honor serving you this afternoon. Bye from my hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to the second validation process for the Water and Climate Youth Development Plan and Agenda.
I feel that water is our life. So I hope that everyone make your life better.
First of all, we need to put higher attention how to make water management so it brings equal distribution to everyone.
Everyone should have access to water. For this, we need proper management and reliable data, especially for young science center.
Stage in your lives where you can make a difference and working together the way you are here, you really can exercise a lot of influence.